Okay, good morning again. This will be our second update. We had a press conference at about 7 o'clock to get some preliminary information out. Since then, we have some more information to provide to you, and we plan on, in about 2 more hours, to give you even more updated information as we get it from the resources on the ground. If everybody could silence their phones, I'd appreciate it. So the fire is out. The Public Utilities Commission, they are going to be an independent regulatory commission that will be investigating the incident, and the best comparison I can make would be how an FAA investigates a plane crash. So they are the oversight to, along with our fire department, to investigate the cause of this fire. The system did have in place an automated system that prior to anybody even arriving on scene, once the fire started, the system automatically began to shutting down the valves. The company can explain how that functions, but it did begin to activate. It did function as designed prior to the arrival of personnel. This gas line is not associated with Peoples Gas, nor is it associated with the Shell cracker ethane plant. It is an independent gas line that starts in northern Butler County, and its destination is in Bulger, PA, and it traverses through Center Township, obviously, in order to get there. This gas line was opened on September the 3rd. It's a 24-inch gas line. It was buried about 3 feet below the surface. We have the Red Cross on scene with residents still at our fire hall, and we are determining when we can get those displaced people back into their residence on Ivy Lane and Pine Street. Peoples Gas, even though it's not associated with their line, they are checking all the meters of those homes that were displaced before we can make sure it's safe for them to go back into their homes. There has been some power that has been out, and that power may or may not be related to the fire. We have had 6 high-tension towers collapse, likely subsequent to the fire. We don't know if it happened before or after. We believe it happened after the fire. So as a result of those high-tension wires being down, about 1,500 people throughout this region, not necessarily Center Township, have lost power. We are not sure when that power will be restored. The power has been de-energized in a lot of those lines, and it's currently being grounded, so it's safe for people to go into that area to make sure the fire is out, which it is, and it's safely to investigate the region. There is no environmental issues associated with this. No environmental issues from the time the fire burned into its current condition. It is methane gas with it, which is lighter than air, and it goes upwards, unlike propane gas that falls and it's heavy. So the fire actually was good as far as burning off the gas. Once the valves were shut off, the fire burned itself out, and that's the status where we're at now. The other issue that compounded it, of course, was the power lines that have gone down, probably related to the fire, but we don't know that for sure. So we have investigators now on scene getting preliminary data, and as that information comes in, we'll probably have more to update you at noon. There is a 1-800 number that people can call related to the pipeline. This would be people that have been displaced. This is people that have had property damage. This is the number for the energy transfer. It's 1-800-445-5846. 1-800-445-5846. Again, people that have had property damage associated with this or have questions concerning the pipeline, residents that may be north and south of that. However, that number has been set up to be answered by the energy transfer people on questions that I can't answer. When will it be safe to return to the region? We have Broadhead Road is now reopened. We're looking at when we can reopen 376, so we're certain that those power lines aren't a threat to traffic on either direction on 376. So I think I've covered all that I have, and I have, again, my panel up here, our emergency management coordinator, Tim Fierich, to my right, the 911 Center, director of the 911 Center, Eric Brewer, to my left, and to my far left is our fire chief, Bill Brucker. So any questions that you have I can't answer, we'll do the same as this morning.
Which road was it that reopened?
Broadhead.
Broadhead. And, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, and how, I think you said, how many people were without power?
Estimation from the 911 center is about 1,500, some in El Equipa, some center, you know, throughout the region. And we don't know if that's related to the storm flooded basements, or it's probably related to the power lines that have come down, but we don't know what areas those power lines are servicing, if they might just be transferring energy.
What has the response been so far from the gas line company? I know we were independently trying to reach out and see if they had anything further to say. Have they spoken to any of you guys directly?
Yes.
What have they said so far?
Well, they're the ones that gave me the 800 number, and I can read you their press release if you would like.
Sure.
We did experience an incident this morning on a 24-inch natural gas gathering line in Beaver County, PA. There were no injuries. This incident, which occurred at approximately 5 a.m. Eastern Time, was detected by our monitoring system, which triggered the closing of valves to isolate the line. By 7 a.m., the fire on the pipeline had extinguished itself. There were evacuations from several homes in the area. All the appropriate regulatory notifications have been made. We do not know the cause of the incident at this time. However, a thorough investigation will be conducted. We have activated a toll-free number for people who have experienced property damage, which is what I gave you previously, 1-800-445-5846. We will provide updates as information becomes available. And at this point, they're providing those updates through us, and I'm trying to filter this out to the media as best as I can.
Can you talk about the power lines? Were there high tension?
There were high tension power.
The towers themselves came down.
6 of the towers fell.
6 towers fell.
That we can confirm at this point.
Possibly related to the fire.
It could very well be related to the fire, and we don't know if one tower fell related to something that pulled the other lines down. So you know, it might have been more like a domino effect, but again, I'm just speculating.
6 towers fell in the vicinity of Bunker Hill Road.
Bunker Hill Road and the vicinity of the fire itself.
Okay.
Can you elaborate on the date you said that the line opened? What did you mean by that?
It became active as far as they started filling it with gas on September the 3rd.
Oh, I was like,
So it hadn't been working beforehand?
It had not, according to them.
It's a new line.
It's like a week ago, right?
2 weeks,
2 weeks ago.
roughly.
Well, today's the 10th.
Well, yeah, they had
Okay,
10
10 days ago.
7th. A week. How concerning is that it just opened up and then?
Sure, it's concerning, and we have questions that we would like to answer that the public would like to know as well as us. Is it safe to continue on? So those questions, I think the cause of the incident itself might help determine, is this going to happen again? Those are the questions that I'm sure many people have, and I don't have the answers to that yet. I know this incident is under control currently, and it appears to be very stable, but we don't know the cause yet, and I don't know anything about how the lines are constructed and any of that. Those are questions that perhaps the company will need to answer.
Do you know if they send a team up from Texas?
I know there's people on site. I don't know where they came from. I think they came from local areas that work for the company.
For the people who have been impacted directly, who have been forced to evacuate, we know that one in particular, we just saw some video on the firefighters' Facebook page of extreme damage to that one particular home that you mentioned. To these people who are concerned about what will happen next, what do you want to say to them? How do you ease the tension? Like you said, we're worried, what if this isn't totally fixed? What do you want to say to these folks with an open mic?
Well, I think that the number that I gave you will answer a lot of their questions that I can't provide answers to. And that we will be diligent on holding people's feet to the fire, responsible for how this thing's going to get resolved and the future of the line, the safety of it, answer questions. How is this thing going to move forward? Is it safe to reactivate? Why did this happen? Those kind of questions. So we certainly have that, and it's our job to make sure that the public is safe. And I think on behalf of the public, we can ask those questions.
I know there's no injuries among humans, but any animals at all?
There were animals. We don't know to the extent. We did rescue some horses. I'm not sure the extent of if they had any injuries or whatever, but they were removed from near the fire. And I think one of the homes that burned, the people did get out, but I'm not so sure that all their pets did. I can't answer that specifically, though.
Chief, you might not be able to answer this. Do you have any information that maybe there may have been any other safety issues or with this company? This gentleman told us that they were cited for some sediment that went into Raccoon Creek. I don't know. Is that?
I have no idea. I don't know if anybody else here does, but those are questions that if it was anything like that happen, I'm sure there's a public record that could be, traced to find out the cause or the reason for those citations, if there were any, and I don't know that. I don't know anything about anything that would have been related to this incident that I should be aware of, that I've been made aware of, I should say.
And just for our benefit, is Ivy Lane going to be closed down for a little bit longer, I take it?
Well, I think we know that Ivy Lane, believe it or not, still has power. So there's power there, and when People's Gas are going to check all the meters, even though, as I said, that their gas is not at all related to this, they're just doing it as a safety precaution. We want to make sure that those homes are safe to return to, that all the electrical issues have been grounded, that the power lines that fell down on the ground, that there's no issues related to any energy that may come through this wet ground. And once we know that's occurred, their gas is okay, and they have power in their homes, and we want to get them back into their homes like I'm sure they do as soon as possible. And I would hope to have that done by the end of the day. And again, the American Red Cross has been great, providing food at our displaced people at our #1 fire hall, and we're going to continue to do that until we no longer need to. Any other questions? So if we could do this again about noon.